Welcome to this week's episode of Listen to Your Coaches. I am your coach, Mike Wilkins, here with Coach Will Morrow. And behind the scenes on the producer desk, we have a young Max Gerald. This week, we're going to talk about a lot of fun topics. And Coach Will's going to start us off because he had a big event this weekend.
Sure did. So this weekend, we had the first ever Luke the Chef and Shane Fazen seminar, right? So we've had both of them individually in the past, and they both ran awesome seminars. And then, recently Chef moved out to Jersey so he could train with Shane at his gym out of Beacon. I just was thinking, I was like, dude, like it's about time to bring them back, maybe they could do a joint seminar. And they're like, yeah, we can make that happen. So they rolled through and put on a hell of a seminar, dude.
And that was their first, not just our first time having both of them, but that was their first time, both of them,
period,
joining forces for seminar purposes. So that's pretty cool. We get to be the first of that.
Sure is.
So tell me about the seminar. Was it good?
Dude, it was awesome. So just a little bit of not the seminar itself, but about the seminar. So big turnout up at Zealy. It's pretty sick. Zealy, which is our north location, right? We've got 4 different gyms.
Did you guys pop the top?
We sure did, until it started raining horribly. So we had to pull it down, put it back up. The weather's back and forth. That's okay though. But what really sucked was I'm literally telling the chef, I'm like, yo, dude, the only thing that sucks about this location, no HVAC. And we're like, yo, but this fan is pretty sick. Power goes out.
Oh, the power went out.
And apparently there's a fuse or something up in the fan itself.
Yeah, you got to get on a skyjack and reset it.
Yeah, and so I'm like, yo, Derek, can we get this going? He's like, no,
we're probably not going to have that going for weeks.
Yeah. So it was unfortunately a little hot. For my taste, the chef seemed to enjoy it. He's like, it's like Thailand. I was like, yeah, exactly. This sucks. But no one had to worry about being too cold. So that was sick. Obviously they brought us through, the spot kick that the chef used in his last fight. Shane hit some really cool stance switching drills and some angle drills and stuff that works really well with our system. He showed some side kicks, of course. That's his signature thing.
Yeah.
Some different ways to get there. And it was really, really good. They showed a lot of stuff. It was all really cohesive as well. So everything that one did, the other was hey, and this is how you can do it in this style. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice.
Because Luke's very much technical, or not tech. Obviously technical, but traditional Muay Thai style. You know what I mean? And Shane is a lot more hybrid system, Taekwondo and boxing and kickboxing. So just to have all of that together was pretty sick. And I did my, I don't know, 5th sparring round ever since neck surgery with the chef. I was like, dude, I can't not. So I was like,
yeah.
Dude,
oh, that's awesome.
Let me get an old man round. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, dude, treat me like an old man. My neck's all whatever. So yeah, dude, it was really fun. Really fun.
Dude, that's awesome. I heard he sparred 30 rounds after.
He did. Now, to be fair, I'm pretty sure the first one he wasn't in because he was doing other stuff. But I mean, dude, he did 1,000,000 rounds.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty sick.
It's I really like that, but I don't like that because you're setting a precedent. And then I got to go do seminars and they're going to be like, can you roll with all of us? And I'm going to be like, nah.
Well, for what it's worth, Shane sat on the side, took pictures. So you can always do that.
Bring a hitter with me.
Exactly.
And then just
bring Alex with you and be like, all right, he's gonna be my uke, and I'm gonna show stuff on him. And
then be like, if you guys can roll, you can roll with him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's funny.
Now, so obviously from my end, being the instructor and I was doing some of the techniques, but I also was spending a lot of time going around, getting video, talking with them, talking with, Warren and Andy, making sure things are running smoothly, whatever.
Right.
We have somebody here who did the full seminar. Max, what were your thoughts on it?
I thought it was really cool. I came to the one he did last year, and I liked that one a lot. It was the last year's seminar was much more of a Muay Thai style though, and I really liked a lot of the stuff that Shane Fazen did with footwork at the very beginning. It was a lot of very footwork intensive stuff, just simple drills but unique drills I hadn't done before, but they're still simple concepts that I like and that I try to teach to people. So I like a lot of that stuff. I'm going to try and use a lot of that footwork stuff that Shane Fazen was able to show to us.
For sure. And Shane, dude, people sleep on Shane, which is crazy to say because he's a massive star in the MMA world. But I don't think people understand how good he really is, right? One, as a martial artist, unbelievably good, dude. The way he moves, the way he you can tell like this dude is super super legit. Also, it's funny because we were just talking about this, like people not knowing about like fight histories and stuff. I don't think people know, like Shane's fought, dude. Like he's legit, you know, like he's fought in Thailand, you know, like he knows what he's doing. And then so all right, so
and people know Shane. Like I have a good story if you don't mind.
Pop it in.
When Shane was here last time, I believe his like seminar was on a Wednesday night.
It was.
Right? Yeah. And I had something going on, so I couldn't be there. And I was at a dinner with my brother John and his friend Bill. Mm-hmm. And we were talking, and they were talking about YouTube and like how people make money off YouTube and stuff like this, like things I didn't know. And Bill, they like obviously they know what field I'm in. And Bill's like, yeah, he's like, yeah, like, you know, like even people who like they're trying to like get me to start a YouTube thing, right? And they're like, yeah, even people who like, you know, don't necessarily do it, like will like watch it and follow it. And John's friend Bill is like, yeah, I follow this guy's fight tips, right? And I'm like, oh, Shane Fazen, and he goes, yeah, I think I know it's fight tips. Like I watch all his videos or whatever whenever they come up, blah. And I'm like, yeah, he's at the gym right now. Yeah. And he's like, what? Like, and I'm like, he's at my gym right now.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like, man, what a small like
it's funny too
world for that to like what a coincidence for that question to be asked of me like as
that was going on.
Yeah,
dude, it's funny too because like a lot of people would be like, oh yeah, Shane Fazen, like Shane Fazen, and they'd be like, you mean the fight tips guy? And I'm like, yeah dude, that guy.
Yeah.
But going back to Shane, okay, so there's separate skills, right? Fighting and being able to coach, right? He's got both of them, right? But you know what else he has that I don't think people understand, like how incredible it is? He has the skill of building YouTube channels and social media, right? Like he has that. So like people talk about like, oh, Mr. Beast, like, you know, spent all this time like learning how the algorithm works and whatever. It's like, yeah, Shane did too. You know what I mean? Like Shane is a true professional in that regard. So like people don't understand how hard it is to be world class at one thing, let alone to be world class at three things. The dude can fight, he can teach, and he's got his YouTube channel / like social medias, which he dropped some good nuggets on Lucas in that regard as well.
Oh yeah,
nice. I'll tell you about those later.
Cool, drop some on us, dog.
We'll talk about that later. But are you seeing this clip of Chef?
Yeah.
This is right at the
end. So
end.
Now on our screen we have up the Stout PGH Instagram, in which we're watching the chef talk about some stuff at the seminar off of one of our posts.
So this was at the very end of all of his sparring, and he was like, listen, you guys stuck around for all this extra time. I'm going to tell you guys a little something extra, and you guys can go and watch the clip, but it's basically about how when you're sparring, like you should make it playful, you know what I mean? And that's how you're going to like learn the most. Dude, also there's a clip Warren got like, very like candidly of the chef talking to Tim. And we'll have to post it at some point. Dude, it's money. He was
really?
Oh, dude, he was like, listen, it's easy to, at the end of a practice, sit there and be like, yo, I did this wrong and I need to improve on this. And he's like, obviously you need to improve those things. Okay. And he was like, but also you need to like focus on the things you did well. He's like, if you're only dwelling on the things you did poorly, like this is not going to be fun. It's not going to be sustainable. And he's like, also, you're just going to think you suck all the time. He's like, at a certain point, you have to be like, yeah, I'm pretty good, you know?
Yeah.
And Warren was like, dude, this is something I've been preaching and talking about for quite some time.
Warren has us do it every practice.
Right.
So Warren runs our comp team grappling practices Monday and Wednesday mornings. And we finish practice with a cool down jog, right? Mm-hmm. That's something that I take to the fight team as well. And during the cool down jog, you know, like you might be jogging next to somebody you just rolled with. You might be like, you know, bullshitting about like maybe something in the roll, or just like, you know, you're jogging next to your friend, and he shuts everyone up. Yeah. Quiet, boom, think about something that you did well, right? And we spend time jogging about something we did well today, right? And sometimes it's like, yeah, did I do anything well?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
And like through the exercise of it, like it was a struggle earlier on, but then through the exercise of it, you're able to find certain things, you know? Yeah. So
yeah, very cool. And it's just like cool to see someone who's at that super high level talk about like their, you know, mindset, because that's again the part that you can't know unless they tell you. So it was really, really cool for him to say that. I got actually one more thing about this, and then we can move on, unless Max, you have anything to add afterwards. But Mike, you're gonna like this. So they start getting people, doing some stuff. And actually, no, I know specifically what it was. It was a kick feint into some other techniques, right? And this is something I've been struggling with a lot, teaching people, is kick feinting aggressively, right? Because if you don't kick feint hard, no one's going to respect the feint, right?
Yeah.
So Chef gets everyone started on this stuff, and then he's like, hold on, like immediately after, like 30 seconds in, because everyone's just kind of like messing it up. And I'm pretty sure this is off the top of his head because I told him, there was like, dude, that was a bar. And he was like, yeah, you can steal it and say that you made it up. I was like, nah, dude, you got to get credit for this. But he stops everyone and he goes, all right, listen, guys, you're doing the right moves, but you're not doing the moves right.
That is a bar. Dude. That is a bar.
And think about how applicable that is in striking, because in striking, there's only so many techniques, right? So it's like, yeah, you're using a jab at this time.
So when you say that, when you use that bar, do you have to like do like a little
hit a little chef? I think that's how it's got to go.
All right, I'm in. I'm using it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, it's fire. It's fire.
Max, you coming to Zealy tonight? I'm going to use it tonight.
You gonna use that tonight?
Yeah, even if people are doing the moves right.
You just got to get it out.
I'm just going to use
Still going to find a way. Okay.
I'm going to manufacture the opportunity to do this.
Just teach something that's absurdly difficult. And then like no one gets it. And you go, all right, hold up.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, overall, fantastic seminar. I'd love to have those guys back. Also, something else for, our guys to pay attention to. The weekend of May 17th, Shane at his gym is having their, I think it's called the Magnus Summit, right? He's going to have a bunch of great coaches out there. Someone who I've thought about bringing in a bunch, Brian Popejoy, I think. Maybe he's just part of Magnus. I don't want to make promises, but you guys can look it up. He's running a really cool summit there. And again, everything that Shane puts out is really high level. So if you guys can make it, not a bad idea. Take a little trip to Jersey.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I unfortunately can't make it because Brody's fighting.
Brody has to fight that night.
Yeah, otherwise I'd totally be there.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall great seminar. Max, do you have anything to add about the seminar from your side of things? You got to spar the chef?
I did. Yeah, that was fun. I think a lot of his stuff, like you were saying about his style before the pod, is really good for like transitioning over to MMA, especially now that like this most recent seminar he did where he's like, I can't just be traditional Muay Thai straightforward. I've got to be able to move my feet because you have those 4-ounce gloves.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. I think that all the MMA fighters should, I think, have some fighters have too bad of a habit of looking at Muay Thai fighters and just assuming that that's Muay Thai and then not taking all of that stuff into MMA. His style of striking and the way that he taught that seminar, especially with the footwork stuff, I think is very applicable for MMA. His kick feints, that type of thing. It's not just, switch kick, switch knee, long guard, that type. The way that he incorporates his feints in his movement is really, and the playfulness too. The way that he does that is it's I think good for growth.
Totally. The other thing that I think is cool about how his style specifically translates to MMA right now, just generally speaking, has a large deficit in kick skill, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're good, even halfway good at kicking, you're gonna probably better than an MMA fighter you're fighting. And if you can establish a hard kick, then you can start using your kick feints, use that chef kind of style, and fake round kicks into teeps, that sort of stuff. The other thing that something people could draw from Muay Thai, one of the reasons a lot of MMA guys are hesitant to kick is they're like, oh, I get taken down off of kicks. Well, that's if you get your kicks caught.
Yeah.
You know who's really good at not getting his kicks caught? The chef and most like good Muay Thai fighters. So it's like that's something else you can take from it. So
right, yeah,
lots of good stuff.
When I watch him fight too, like I immediately think like, man, he would be great at MMA.
I would love
like
to
every
see
time
him
I watch him fight, I'm like, wow.
You're like, yeah, that would totally work.
Like, this dude would kill it.
Well, I told him last year and I told him this year. I was like, yeah, right, you should do MMA.
yeah, for sure, that'd be cool. But yeah, I mean, still super cool to get to watch him fight.
Definitely. Dude, just watching him. So like I'm very rusty with my sparring, right? So I sparred with him. I sparred around with Brody. Brody beat the shit out of me. And then I sparred around, maybe I did 1 or 2 rounds with other guys, but just like little guys. Cause like, again, I haven't been sparring. Dude, I'm so rusty. I know the right things to do, but it's like I don't do it
right.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I know the right moves, but I wasn't doing the moves right, and it's like really frustrating. So I'm gonna get back into shape for that a little bit.
Yeah.
I've only got a few more years I can like kind of spar, so I'm like I gotta take advantage of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say.
You should be able to spar forever, bro.
Well, yeah, if I go slow enough, I can. But like spar like for real,
Nah, dude, you got tons of years. I'm 4 years older than you. and I'm still sparring for real.
Yeah, but you're a real athlete.
No,
and
dude.
also, you took like 4 years off fully. So.
I did like 20 rounds in the last 5 years.
But that's what I was going to say.
Came back hot. Came back better than ever. I was like, oh my God, I'm so good.
This was to say about watching the chef is watching him. Just like I had downloaded something. I was like, oh, okay, I'm better now. You know,
Like watching movement.
Yes.
Like watching movement. If you're the type, I don't know if it's a type of person thing, but if you're someone who can kind of like watch movement and mimic movement to like the best of your abilities, it can definitely pay dividends, right? Like even like think about like what, like if we went and we watched like a basketball game, right? Like we would play basketball a little bit better after than if you were like, hey,
100%.
let's just go play basketball.
Especially me,
you know?
because I'm so trash at basketball that just absorbs.
I mean, I'm not good at basketball either, but like.
Oh, but you're way better than me.
If we go jump out on a court right now, I'm going to look one way. But if we watch
Right.
like an NBA game, then jump out on the court, I'm going to look a little bit better than I would have.
For sure.
You
This
know?
is actually Max.
Because I have a point of reference to like refresh me. You know.
If you take a note of this, so we actually remember, because we always forget to do this. But after the pod, we should look up a thing called mirror neurons.
Oh, mirror neurons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what those are. Yeah, they're neurons that mirror things.
Anyways, unless anyone else got anything to add, should we move on?
No. So speaking of MMA, there was some MMA fights that happened this Friday night. The major one being Dalton Rosta's quarterfinal bout in the PFL middleweight tournament, in which he took on a gentleman, Sai.
I think it's like something.
Sadabu Sai.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. So Sai's the last name. Yeah.
No, and I believe he was a PFL champ, correct?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, well, I was wrong.
Max, can you confirm and or deny?
Let me check that. I'm pretty sure he won one of the tournaments. It was a couple of years ago. I thought he won it, but he might have come second place. Let me check on that.
Do they do it like the way
Okay.
that Pride Grand Prix where like a tournament winner is not the same thing as like a promotional champ?
My understanding is that the promotional champ is the tournament winner, but the belt is gone. Like
It's just
it's more like, from my understanding, it's more like winning a world title in like wrestling or
Gotcha.
jiu-jitsu or like a boxing
Olympics.
Olympic title, right?
Right.
Like, yeah, you've won it
that year.
and then it's like gone.
Exactly.
You know,
Yes,
but you're always a champ,
Right,
But
yeah,
like
yeah.
you don't
You don't
like,
just retain it indefinitely.
Yeah.
Got you.
not every one of your fights therefore after is a title fight, from my understanding.
He won the welterweight tournament in 2022.
Okay, so he won the welterweight tournament in 2022, and then he went up to 205
Yeah.
because he was struggling with that cut to welterweight. And now I do believe that one of the reasons for that, the PFL did not have a middleweight division until now. I do
that's
believe
right.
this is the inaugural
This
PFL
makes
middleweight.
this makes him the first PFL fighter to fight at 70, 85, and 205.
Okay, yes. And the 205 champ from last year was in this bracket and lost first round to Fabian Edwards.
Yeah, Impa Kasanganai.
Yeah, Impos. Yeah, was the 205 champ.
Right.
So down at middleweight, lost first round to Fabian Edwards. So Fabian Edwards is in the top side semi. He's facing, I can't quite remember the gentleman he's facing, but I believe it's an American. And then on the bottom side semi, Aaron Jeffries, I believe is the name, made the semi, and he'll be taking on Dalton now. Dalton just came out and just looked like unbelievable. Dude, just like perfect everywhere, right? Like just like where I would assume Sai would be most dangerous is like at an extended range. And Dalton was keeping it just like right within that range, like in like more of a boxing range. And whenever they were in that extended range, he would use like a kick, like even like defense, like Sai would throw like a calf kick. Dalton would step it and then step in off it, and like close that range just all over him the entire time. Just like really like a marquee like show, like utilizing clinch, cage work, takedown, and then so he's like top north south, right? He's got like an arm like isolated, right? And then he goes around the clock right into a Darce choke. And it was like, dude, it was so money.
Dude, okay,
I
so
loved
first
it.
off, Dalton is not like super long for the weight class, right? He's a little more short and compact, right? No, he's not short,
Don't you think? But he's not long.
Exactly.
He's like regular.
He's regular. Yeah. He's probably like, I don't know, 6'6", 6'1", something.
Yeah,
like
you're
that.
not like, oh, you're the tallest middleweight, right?
Right, yeah.
You're like, okay, you're like regular.
Yeah, normal size,
Yeah.
except jacked out of his mind, right? Yeah. So immediately I was like, all right, those giant arms, when you get to a Darce position, like it must be freakishly tight. The other thing I just noticed here, we have it playing on repeat. When I Darce, right, and like that's like the only thing I'm good at in jiu-jitsu. Like, look at where my hand gets to. It gets like all the way to like the back of
your
my
tricep.
Dude, he's just grabbing his bicep and it's a perfectly good grip because it's huge.
But like, look at but like just like the elbow, like
pinching
compression,
in.
compression there. Like there's no room for a neck to live right there.
Dude, and also, oh my God. All right. So right there, he hooked the leg and just like forces him to stay on his side and then rehooks to get the top leg as well. That's so money. And then he's pressuring to our right in that video. Like, dude, the squeeze on that must have been insane.
Yeah. So now Dalton moves on to the semi in which he'll face Aaron Jeffries. Aaron Jeffries is the only person to defeat Dolphin in both amateur and or pro. So that's a rematch. And dude, Dalton looks very, very ready. Like I truly he definitely wants the rematch.
Oh yeah,
right.
I had an extended conversation with him after that fight about it.
I was like, I think I walked in on it, in and out of it, right, and stuff. But you know, like some people, like after they lose a match, right, especially if you're in this tournament format, you'd be like, oh, like kind of hope that maybe that could be the final, right. But like he's got him in the semi, and you could tell like he wants it.
Yeah, he's like
the stars have aligned. He visualized this, and here it comes. So really exciting. I do believe that semifinal fight will take place in June. I mean, this took place in April. I'm under the impression the finals are in August. So split the difference.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not 100% sure on that. That's just me going off of like hearing stuff while watching the fights on the broadcast and kind of like using context clues.
Right.
So we'll see.
Dude,
all right, cool.
That's awesome. I've got Dalton winning it all.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. It just feels right. Yeah.
And he's so good everywhere, and he's got the right mindset for it. Yeah, I'm very excited for this.
Yeah, dude, he's ready. He's ready. He's running right into his. He's about to enter. Here's the thing. He's about to enter his prime.
Dude, I know.
Isn't that crazy?
Unbelievable.
He's not as good as he's going to be.
Dude, the first time I ever sparred Dalton, right? He was like barely knew any striking. I shouldn't say that. Like he was just newer in his career, and I was like in okay enough shape and like sharp enough. And I remember being like, yeah, this dude's already giving me problems. And then like the last time I sparred him, I was like very out of shape and like not remotely okay. And I was like, hey man, can you just like give me a round, but like don't hurt me too bad? And he was like, yeah. And he like took care of me, but also at the same time I could just tell, I was like, oh, he's
got all the physical attributes that you need with it. Like he's the perfect storm. Like lives right, all the physical attributes you need, and just like a tremendous amount of skill that was earned. Earns a tremendous amount of earned skill. All right, cool. All right, so let's move on. Up next, going from the majors to the Amis here, we're going to talk some amateur MMA. So this weekend, I got the corner Kyle O'Hare in his second amateur fight, and I got to do a whole lot of nothing. Now, so Kyle won his second fight. You can watch the entire fight on his Instagram. The fight was 1 minute and 19 seconds long. There was a small break for an eye poke.
I saw.
But fought through that really well. And then he ended up getting a takedown, earning the mount, causing his opponent to expose the back, takes the back, and finishes with a rear naked choke from the back. So you might be like, oh, Mike, you got to do some work there, right? It hit the ground. You could yell some stuff. There was no like opportunity to like, I was yelling things, but like, I know there was no shot here. Dude, he had that place sold out.
Yeah.
And it's in like a small tin can place. It's in the back of a brewery.
Real cool
spot.
So
it's like aluminum siding.
Right.
Like it's like aluminum panel walls, right? So it was loud, right? Yeah, so wins some striking exchanges early on. His opponent was not shy, would like fire back, reached out, poked Kyle in the eye, short break after the poke, they reset. Kyle gets back to cracking. Opponent rushes in. Takedown just too easy. Nice head inside single. Kind of like sits the corner. Like a little bit of a head wheel there. Finish. Climbs it right to the mount. Forces opponent to expose the back. Body triangle. Rear naked choke. Right over the chin too.
Yeah, dude,
right over the
so
chin.
Sick.
Just popping the chin back.
I love that.
He gets the submission. Hits a signature Selly. This one he went grenade. So peel the grenade. Throw it. cover on a run, right? It explodes, and then like a dance that I can't do.
Dude, that's
Right?
so awesome.
But my favorite thing about his like post fight dances is his stare at the camera.
Oh yeah, totally
Right?
deadpan.
Like that, like yeah, deadpan face, just like staring at the camera, like dude, it's so. Oh, here goes the dance. We've got the dance up. It's on his. You can check it out on his Instagram. Look at the deadpan stare,
bro.
He also went with an Easter egg
Haircut,
yeah,
or hair dyeing, I guess.
yeah.
Dude, the kid's a star. He's got the skills. He's got, dude, everything. Like,
Yeah, dude.
the personality. Oh, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So love it. So I had a great time going out to Youngstown, cornering Kyle. It worked out really good for me because I was in Youngstown for Easter.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. He's like, oh, thanks for coming out. And I was like, yeah. It's like I was here.
I felt really bad I couldn't go because
Yeah.
the seminar and
Yeah.
everything. But
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, we got multiple coaches.
He was like, what? You're here? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I got a house 10 minutes away. Did Easter. Yeah.
Dude, also just talking about that venue is like, especially in the back where the fights are, it reminds me of like if you were making a movie about like underground fighting.
Yeah.
And like kind of like Tekken style.
I like the venue.
Dude, I think it's sick.
I like the venue. Sell, I mean, like, and there's nothing you can do. What are you going to do? Not like, they're not going to like limit. It's sold out, right?
Yeah.
People were coming up trying to get tickets at the door. They're like, sorry, dude, it's like sold out.
Right.
And it was like
Packed.
It was packed. Like, so I went in. I'm just going to briefly talk a couple more fights real quick. So I went in to watch Trey Lewis, which was one of Cody Hire's guys. I was thinking Grand Rapids. That's
Right,
why I
yeah.
put there. So Daniel Gracie, Grand Rapids. He was the first fight of the night, right? So I go in there. I want to watch him. It's his first fight. He was a hockey player. He's like a 19-year-old kid. He's fighting welterweight right now. Probably be moving to 55 as his career unfolds. Wins second round TKO. I watched the entire fight on someone's phone who was standing in front of me holding it over their head recording. Right? I couldn't see.
Yeah.
I couldn't see. But this kid couldn't see either, but he's recording it by holding his phone up in the air. So I watched it through his phone.
Dude, that's crazy.
Standing in the crowd. So I go out, boom. We come back in, and Lurk's fight, John B.
Yeah.
Lurkin. He's fighting for he's fighting for the amateur lightweight title, in which he won by a unanimous decision, very dominant first round, got dropped in the second round and put in a guillotine for an extended period of time, escaped that. So he gets dropped, wrestles in, gets put in a guillotine, is in the guillotine, but it's not like scary.
Right. Yeah.
You know? It's not like, oh, this is going to be finished. It's just like, oh, this is
something you have to address.
This is rather inconvenient.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So he clears out of the guillotine, finishes the round, but, you know, on top, but like, it's like, you know, you lost that round.
Right.
You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah.
Like, there's no two ways about it. Comes out in the third round, wins a little striking exchange, gets a takedown, takes the back, is on the back for basically the entire third round. So wins the lightweight title via unanimous decision. That one I was able to see a little bit better.
Yeah.
Right? And but it was incredibly packed in there.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
but that's a Made Men show in Youngstown,
Right
Penguin
on.
City Brewery. Man, that
Congrats to
shit's gonna-
Kyle and
It's gonna sell out.
Lurk.
Yeah, take note, guys. Like, next time there's fights there, which they typically hold fights there 3 times a year, generally in April. Last April, Luke Martin fought there. Generally in December. This December, Luke Martin fought there. And they usually do an outdoor one there, like Labor Day weekend. They have the last 2 years. We didn't have anybody on the past one, but the year before, Tim Bailey fought on it on the slip and slide.
On the slip and slide. I was about to talk about that, but
Yeah, so that's that. All right, cool. Let's keep
what we
it
got next here?
keep it moving. Who's number one? All right, so Friday night there was a big jiu-jitsu event. Who's number one, put on by Flow Grappling, had tons of really high-level matches. Andrew Tackett was on the card. That's super exciting. Owen Jones versus Julian Espinoza. Victor Hugo versus Luke Griffith. And then the main event, Kainan Duarte versus Nicky Rod. First thing I want to say about who's number one, and basically jiu-jitsu, like prominent jiu-jitsu shows in general, dude, there's been so many submissions lately and so many good performances. Like when you think UFC Fight Pass Invitational, who's number one? Polaris. I hate that I'm probably forgetting a few, but what am I going to do?
Oh, the league one. What's that one called?
Professional, the PGF.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they have their 155 pound seasons coming up in June, and 155 pound division is going to be insane. Yeah, but what I have to say is like that these pro jiu-jitsu athletes are really taking it upon themselves to make sure that it's a good performance. Right? Like I feel like they definitely want to win. No doubt about it. But I feel like they more so will make sure that it's like a good like visual experience over the win, like just by a smidge.
Cognizant of the fact that the sport is in a place where them putting on excellent performances raises everyone up.
Yeah, like they're out there. I do feel like that the majority of these pro jiu-jitsu athletes are out there competing for the sport being bigger than them.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? And then like, you know, obviously like when the sport's huge, then you can compete more, you bout yourself. But like, so I really appreciate that as a fan. I really appreciate that as somebody who makes a living in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So man, shout out to all those guys. Now there's some unique things happening in the heavyweight division. So in the heavyweight division, the top 6 right now ranked in the world, I'm going to list them off to you. Felipe Pena, Luke Griffith, Victor Hugo, Nicky Rod, Nicholas Marigali, Kanye Duarte. All right. They've already removed Gordon.
For inactivity?
No, I believe he's done.
Oh, like for real?
Yeah, I mean, well, if they're gonna, they can't remove him for inactivity because he just competed at ADCC, and so did Felipe Pena. Competed they competed against each other at ADCC. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. So, is he? You think he's like legit done?
I don't know. He might be.
I don't see that.
So I hear that Danaher needs another surgery.
Okay. I saw him make
he's going to step and like he likely might have to step away from elite level coaching for a thing of time, and I feel like Gordon might be taking that spot, and I feel like if he's taking that spot, he will not be competing during that time.
Right.
You know, so whatever, if they know that, maybe it's public and I'm missing it or whatever, but he has been removed from the rankings. Now, when we look at that rankings, we got Felipe Pena, who is the reigning ADCC under 99 kilo or 99 plus heavyweight, heavyweight champion. We've got Kainan Duarte in there, who was the ADCC absolute champ. So next to ADCC, he'd be scheduled to do the super fight against Gordon Ryan because it's super fight champion versus absolute winner. And then we've got Nicky Rod, Victor Hugo, and now Luke Griffith just entered the chat here. So what we're seeing is like a few weeks ago, actually March 6th, we saw Victor Hugo submit Nicky Rod in the UFC Fight Pass Invitational.
Right.
I believe that now that makes Victor Hugo 3-0 against Nicky Rod. But we have Nicky Rod winning the Craig Jones Invitational. That Victor Hugo was in the field.
Right.
So he wins a tournament in which Victor Hugo was in the field on, right?
Right.
And then you've got Kainan, who was the absolute champ and the under 99
it's Kainan, not Kanan?
I don't know.
Okay. Because I see his name written and I never know how you would say it, but
I'm going to say Kainan.
Right on.
All right. But, I mean, I feel like that's what I hear. But, I mean, I don't know.
Your guess is better than mine.
I don't know. And then, like, you know, Luke Griffith, who lost to Pena in the heavyweight championship. But he beats Victor Hugo. And now Nicky Rod beats Kainan. So we do have the CJI champ versus the ADCC champ. But it's the CJI champ at heavyweight versus the ADCC absolute champ, which I mean, like,
it's been, it's kind of the same thing.
So, you know, what's cool about that is like we're seeing everybody go against everybody.
Yeah, and that always makes for the most entertainment, right?
It's always,
Think about an era in boxing where that happened.
Can you give me it?
I'll give you one person who was in it.
Go ahead.
Tommy Hearns.
Oh, okay.
Didn't they call them the Four Horsemen, right?
That's your sport, buddy. You tell me.
That's one of my sports. And one that I'm like least, I don't want to say least knowledgeable about, but like I don't know as much about it. But that era is known as like one of like the main times when like all the best guys were fighting each other.
Yeah.
And like that always just makes for like the most entertainment possible in the sport, you know?
Right.
And even if like they get some losses, like who cares? It's only against the best guys. So like, let's do it.
For sure.
Now, let me ask you this about jiu-jitsu. So obviously New Wave is putting a team into CJI this year because it's
a dual format. Yeah.
Right. Now, next year, do you think that Craig goes head to head with ADCC again? Let's just start there because I know there's been talks about him running ADCC.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I got no information on that.
Let's say that hypothetically.
I mean, you figure, dude, we're like 16 months away from that. Like, I can't even begin.
So let's just say hypothetically, did Mo step down?
Yes.
Okay, let's just say hypothetically ADCC and Craig Jones still at odds, right? And Craig runs same thing that he did last time, right? Like same time. What's the likelihood that he gets Gordon involved in any way, whether he's coaching someone at New Wave there or somehow gets a super fight against him?
Dude, unlikely. Highly. I give that, I don't see that happening.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
All right, well, let's move off of jiu-jitsu to another sport that I am fond of, wrestling.
Dude, so you briefly kind of started to mention this to me before the pod started, and I was like, yeah, you got to hold up because this sounds awesome, and I need to know every detail.
Okay, so here goes the thing. So there's a tournament being held this upcoming November called the National Duels, all right? The National Duels was a tournament that used to be held back in, like, my day, right? That, had a lot of value because everybody competed in it, and then people stopped kind of competing in it, so therefore it lost its value. And it's just basically like it's like a dual team tournament, so it's a team versus team, not like an individual tournament like the NCAAs. And it's just really exciting. And a lot of people think that a duel is a more fan-friendly way to showcase wrestling, and it is. But we also agree that the individual tournament is the most important thing we have, right? To be an individual national champion, to be an individual Olympic champion, right? It's like important that we have the individual aspect of the sport. But duels are really great for growing the sport, and it's a really great package because a duel happens in 2 hours, and it's like a team versus a team, so you can attach to teams.
And the scoring's cool too because like if one guy doesn't do super well, then the other guys can make up for him. And also, even if like there's different ways of winning that give you different points, and like it just makes it more interesting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna so this is gonna be a little bit less about like that, but like just like kind of prefacing that there will be a tournament this upcoming year called the National Duels. And it's sponsored by Paycom, which I'm not sure what that is, but it's like, a really big company. Yeah. And what they are doing is they are paying every team who partakes in it. So, and where you place, you get paid more, right? Okay. So it's really incentivizing people to show up and wrestle the whole way through. And they're doing full wrestlebacks, meaning if you lose first round, your team could come all the way back and still take third, which is like $150,000. Like, you know what I mean? So like, there's a lot of incentive to go out there and wrestle your best. And the way that they are picking, it's a 16-team tournament, and the way that they're picking the 16 teams they are taking the top 12 teams at nationals. Teams that placed 1 through 12.
Right.
Okay. And then teams that placed 13th through 24th, they're going into a lottery for the last 4 spots. And in the lottery, like let's say you took 13th, well, then you get, like, let's say 11 balls in the lottery. I got you. And you took 16th, well, then you get 9 balls in the lottery, right?
I see.
And so, like, you have
You're still
bigger
incentivized.
Odds. You have bigger odds to make it. Now, there's some people are not a fan of that being the way that the teams are selected, like the top 12 at Nationals the year before, because they're like, all right, well, Team A took 4th, right? This is completely hypothetical. Team A took 4th, but they had 6 seniors. Now they're in it, but they're like on a rebuild year, right, for this next year. And I'm like, look, this National Duels, it's not a national championship.
Right, yeah.
You're not winning the team. It's just like, it's a marquee event, right?
It's a cool thing.
And I think since it's such a team thing, I think showing strength year through year, like, is part of it, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, the fact that last year has an impact on this thing for this year, I think has like a bigger, like, it's bigger than like because you look at, it's bigger than an individual, it's bigger than a class, it's about a program, right? So like, I don't hate that, but like, if you wanted to like tinker with that in some way, shape, or form, that's fine.
Now hold on, let me ask you this: is this completely like separate from NCAA oversight?
I mean, it's under NCAA like regulation.
Yeah, they accept it, but like they're not running it in any.
They're running the whole thing. Yeah, any wrestling match is NCAA. Any
okay.
wrestling match involving college teams is NCAA
Okay, so it's
regulated,
still under that
officiated
umbrella. Gotcha.
Yeah, these matches count towards your records.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, everything is like official. These are official duels on your, like, this is part of your season.
Got it.
Yeah, but the winner of it is not the national champion.
Right.
You know, like that's
The
it.
champion
You're the
of
national
this.
duels tournament champion.
Exactly.
Is what you are. Now there's some controversy because Penn State did not accept. They will not be attending. So teams 2 through 12 did. Mm-hmm. And now there's an extra lottery team that'll be thrown in. What are your thoughts on that?
Dude, I would imagine that Penn State didn't do it. How many seniors did they have? Who
2.
were like, just 2? Dude, I have no idea. I don't know
Penn
what to
State,
think.
here goes, okay, so just to be perfectly clear, Penn State would win this.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Right.
Like, they're going to win this.
Yeah. So, dude, I have no idea.
So, Kale, he's big about, like, he's doing what's best for his team to win the national tournament, right? And he has, like, periodization blocks out for, like, competition. They generally don't compete at something of that level at this time of year. They'll do something like that at, like, mid-December-ish, like, right before Christmas, and then, again, the nationals, right? So a lot of people are upset that Penn State's not partaking in it, saying that, you know, Penn State being in it is better for the sport, which, you know, it definitely is. But a lot of Penn State fans are like, oh, this is just a JV tournament without Penn State, right? What's your take on that?
I mean, so I see where they're coming from, but at the same time, I don't know if you can call it JV. I think it's the equivalent of like I think that would be like calling Daniel Cormier a JV champion. It's like, okay, sure, he only got his titles because Jones wasn't there at the time, but like,
Well, he was a heavyweight champ too, so.
Well, I know, but like realistically, John would have beat him there too. But
John wasn't a heavyweight there, so you're just saying that Stipe was never a champ and every heavyweight was never a champ.
Let's
because
just stick
John
with
would
light
have beat
heavyweight
them.
then. Even if we just keep it in light heavyweight, I still think it would be disrespectful to call DC a JV champ. You know what I mean? Because it's like, it's not that. And so that's kind of how I'm looking at this. It's not a JV championship, but at the same time, it's different with Penn State gone. You know what I mean?
I think it's better with Penn State gone.
So, okay, I can see some pro sides there. So first off, hold on. First question is, why is Penn State not going? Or you get into that?
I told you, it's because it doesn't fit their period.
Okay, got you. And he just, feels it's best for the team.
Yeah.
Okay. So then give me the pros and cons of them being in versus not being in.
Well, I mean, the pros of them being in is that it's a full field, and then you could actually be like, hey, the winner of this, like, is quote unquote the unofficial dual champion of the NCAA.
And so if you did have a
even
crazy
though it
upset,
does happen at the beginning of the year, and you would like something like that to happen at the end of the year,
right?
So you would have that. So that would be a pro.
Especially if there's an upset, because then you'd be like, look at how legit this is. You know?
That'd be a pro or whatever. But also, I could see a reason why Penn State. Well, first off, as far as Penn State, the Penn State fans who are like, oh, it's a JV tournament without Penn State. Well, then go.
Right. Yeah.
Then go. You're the ones who aren't, like, it's you guys who aren't going.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want us to do? You were the first team invited.
Yeah,
you were the first team invited, right? So should this be canceled, right? It's like, okay, will you not watch a UFC fight because it's a number 2 versus a number 3?
Right, exactly.
You won't watch that?
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Oh, so, and if it's a JV tournament, well, then Penn State's JV as well, because who are they competing against that's varsity?
Right.
I guess they're only competing against JV people.
Right.
You know? So there's that. But in Penn State's defense for not participating, this is kind of close to around like the age group world championships, like the U23 world championships, and like you know what I mean, and like even the senior world championships for that matter, which they would obviously be peaking for, right? And who is most likely to have people participating in that? It tends to be Penn State. Penn State tends to have a lot of people who excel in freestyle and make world teams.
Right.
So, like, you know, like if you look at like their 125-pounder Luke Lillidahl, he was on a world team the past 4 years. You know what I mean? He was a world runner-up, world champ, world runner-up, world champ in the last 4 years. They just picked up Masa Ono, who is the defending 61-kilogram world champ, right? They just picked him up from Japan.
Yeah.
right? Obviously, who's going to be peaking
Yeah.
for the world championships, you know. And then they have, you know, several wrestlers on the team who are favorites to make world teams. Their 97-pounder Josh Barr was on the U20 world team last year. Their 74-pounder Levi Haynes has been on a world team. You know, their 65-pounder Mitchell Messenbrink was a junior world champ and was a U23 world bronze last year, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, you're talking about like, dude, I'm naming a lot of their roster right now, you know, and stuff like that. So I could see like why, like, you know, their team might not be peaked for something at the time of this, you know, but. Yeah.
Dude, you know, sorry, I'm kind of taking it back one step in the conversation, but you know what complaining about it being a JV league is like? It's like when people say like, oh, they call, you know, NFL or NBA like world titles world, even though it's just America or a little bit of Canada too or whatever. And it's like, okay, but also name a basketball team outside of the NBA that can beat any team in the NBA. They don't exist. Name an American football team that can beat any actual American football team. They don't exist. You know what I mean? So,
well, because here goes the thing too. I mean, like if you did have one and you could start one, they would accept that. You don't think that you don't think the NFL would love to have teams in every country, every continent? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, the Moscow Mule team comes from Russia.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then at the end of the year, you know what I mean? Instead of like the NFC and AFC being two conferences just in like the United States, essentially, right? You would have like dude, they would love that.
Dude, they would love it. Have hemisphere teams, you know?
Dude. Yeah, that'd be great.
The Australians could kick out some good guys, I bet.
Yeah. You know, get smoked by us. That's all right.
Oh, dude, we got to be careful claiming which places are better than others at certain sports.
Why?
So, you know, you and I don't really get to listen to your coach's TikTok, but
I'm not on TikTok.
The clip that like did, you know, pretty big is us talking about Pico, because we know about Pico, but like I guess introducing, especially to probably a younger age group, that's what I assume is on TikTok. You know, they thought it was an interesting conversation. And I think multiple people were very upset in the comments about you saying that PA was better than California.
Oh, well, anybody in the know doesn't even argue that. There's so many great California wrestlers who automatically default that PA is better at wrestling. It's not, in the real wrestling community, it's not like a debate.
Right, yeah.
It's not. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, real quick, just for anyone who might not be aware of this, can you explain what the Dapper Dan is?
Okay, so here goes the problem with that. Other states have that too.
But have they done as well as PA?
No. But, like, also PA is not doing that well anymore.
As of late, but historically.
As of late. Other states are catching up, and that's great. In fact, this year was the first year in, like, the last, like, 25 years where other states had more All-Americans than PA in this national championship.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which is good for the health and competitiveness of the sport.
For sure.
But if you go back to, like, I don't know, here goes a great chunk of time, the last quarter century.
Yeah.
A nice round 25 years. And guess what? We can go right back to the year 2000 for that because it's 2025. PA has like almost double the amount of NCAA All-Americans as like the second place state, which is like either like Ohio or New Jersey. They keep leapfrogging each other.
I was going to say Iowa. But...
Yeah, no, Iowa has a claim if you start to go per capita, right? You know what I mean? But, yeah, I mean, PA, we were just like, we constantly, like, have produced, and like, the way that you typically would like to judge this is like, how do you think this should even be judged? Like, as someone who's not deep in it, Max, you can weigh in on this. How do you think it should be judged at what state's better at wrestling?
So I like what you said about who's producing the most All-Americans. I think also the Dapper Dan tournament is a really, you know, interesting thing. And so that...
Well, the Dapper Dan, it's just a match. It's just a match of like here goes the problem with the Dapper Dan too, is you have to be a senior to wrestle in it.
Okay,
right, so it's the best PA senior versus the best senior from the rest of the United States who
might
accepts
not be the
bid.
best.
Also, they have to accept the bid. They might.
Gotcha.
Almost they all pretty much do because it's a pretty like legendary classic thing. It's now called the Pittsburgh Wrestling Classic because the Dapper Dan no longer sponsors it. But yeah, it's a pretty major deal. Like, you know, almost everybody accepts their bid to it.
All right, so then I would say who produces the most All-Americans, who produces the most national champs, and then we can even get to a higher level who produces the most, whatever you want to say in international wrestling, like guys who make it to the Olympics, medal in the Olympics, worlds, you know, whatever.
Right. And the higher level you take it, the more it kind of like evens things out because
Yeah.
there's less.
Right.
It's like, okay, the most Olympic champs. Well, guess what? At this Olympics, we had 0 champs. Men's freestyle.
Right.
Or men's, period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We did have Sarah Hildebrandt and Amit Elor, both won for the women. But like, you know what I mean? So it gets even thinner. So it's like a little harder, but I think a really good data point. Max, do you have an opinion?
I had a question. It's not so much an opinion, but it's more of a question for you based on what you said about the Olympics right there.
Yeah.
Is there like 1 or 2 schools that, because you get to the Olympics and you have like, we didn't even have an Olympic champ that last year, right?
Yeah.
Is there 1 or 2 schools that have produced such a higher amount of Olympic champs than all the other schools that people look at them and are like, okay, you know, maybe they're not winning here, here, or here, but if you want to produce Olympic champs, that's the school that's doing it.
So right now it's Penn State. Prior to Penn State, it would have been like in the last generation, it was Iowa, and then Iowa and Oklahoma State, they kind of would like leapfrog each other generation and generation. Like it's Oklahoma State for like these 8 years, and then it was Iowa for like these, and then Oklahoma State for these. There was actually a period of time where it was Ohio State. Now this is, I more so like to use the World Championships as opposed to just the Olympics because it happens every year, whereas just like every 4 years, right? You know what I mean? There was a year where there were 7 spots to send people to the Worlds, and 5 of the 7 were from Ohio State.
Oh wow!
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they didn't wrestle for Ohio State, but they wrestled there for their post college.
Gotcha.
For example, Keith Gavin, Pitt's head coach, 2008 national champion for Pitt, was part of that.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah. Is that kind of what's going on at Penn? Isn't that where Burroughs trains?
Yeah, the Penn RTC.
Okay, and it's like it's not their school team, but it's like they have a team that like trains.
Yeah, it's
there.
your post grad team. Yeah,
Okay.
so it's like the people who are wrestling freestyle and or Greco to try to make World Olympic teams. They train there. They're affiliated with the college. The college kind of like
Supports them.
supports it in a way, and therefore the college benefits from having those guys around to like train with the college guys and be like role models and examples and stuff like that. But back to like which state is the best. I mean, like you used that last like clip, like quarter century or whatever, like dude, like so NCAAs, right? Everybody in every state like is wrestling to make it to college to a D1 level and then to be a national champion. That's the one common goal we all have. And yeah, maybe there's an outlier. Aaron Pico wasn't his goal, right? Henry Cejudo wasn't his goal, right? We're thinking of 2 people,
Right.
2 people, right? But so you kind of use that, and like that's when we all like compete against each other, right? Is there, and it's not what college. I know people might be like, some newer people might be like, oh well, Penn State has Josh Barr, who's from Michigan, and Aaron Brooks, who's from Maryland, and Luke Lillidahl, who's from Missouri, right? Like no, like they would quantify for that state then. It's not where you're wrestling in college, it's where you were from,
right.
where you came from. We do have some people where it gets kind of dicey on that. It's like, okay, well, David Taylor's from like Utah or Idaho, but he wrestled high school in Ohio, right?
Right.
So it's like, all right, well, I'm going to go Ohio for him then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then you have someone like Luke Lillidahl, who's from Missouri and wrestled high school in PA, but at like a boarding school. So like, it's almost like, it feels like different a little bit for me. But yeah, like we're just like, we're a mile ahead, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, this debate gets brought up here and there. It gets brought up so much less in like the circles that I'm listening to. And
The people who know what they're talking about.
Because we just know, right?
Yeah.
Like Ben Askren, a huge proponent for Wisconsin wrestling, right? Ben Askren himself had 3 of his like proteges in the national finals this year.
Dude.
Mitchell Messenbrink, Keegan O'Toole, and Parker Keckeisen, all national champions, were all 3 in the national finals this year. And guess what they all are? Askren Wrestling Academy students.
I didn't realize Messenbrink was one of his guys.
Oh, yeah.
That's sick.
Messenbrink's dad is Ben Askren's coach.
Oh, dude, that's sick.
Yeah. Yeah. And guess what? Like, it's not an argument. He's like, well, yeah, like, because he used to co-host Flow Radio Live, which is Flow Wrestling Radio Live, which is like my favorite podcast that I listen to. And like, dude, it would just be like, oh, like in the off season, there's like less to talk about, right? Like, oh, like they'd make up like, hey, who would win between the 2015 Penn State team and the 2025 Penn State team?
Right,
Like do stuff like fun stuff like that. And then like, you know, answer questions from, oh, what's the best wrestling stage? It's like PA, dude. Like, move on.
Yeah.
Move on. Like, even them, and they're like, yeah, and they're like, we're catching up. Like, we're working to catch up, and for sure, the country is catching up, and that's good. I want that. I want the country to catch up, right? I want wrestling to be like widespread throughout the country. If it's just PA, just kicking everyone's ass and like dominating, it's not good for the sport.
Yes.
Right. Like, and what we need is we need a lot of these PA guys to start moving away. You know, one of the reasons that I estimate PA is so good is because we had, I believe, 14 Division I colleges. So what happens is and a lot of these colleges are primarily like education schools, like they churn out teachers, right? And teachers go and they coach middle school. You know what I mean? They coach high school. They coach elementary. They coach club, right? And it is not uncommon in most other states that the guy running the junior wrestling team for this school district is somebody's dad who wrestled 2 years in high school, if at all, right? Whereas it is not uncommon in PA for my son's wrestling coach. My son is 4 years old. His wrestling coach is an NCAA All-American.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, his wrestling coach is an All-American. Right.
Whereas if you're in some other state, you've got like me coaching, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. He's 4 years old.
Dude.
He's 4 years old. Like, it's like the rich get richer in that, right? So like, you know, someone goes and wrestles for, you know, Clarion or Edinburgh or Bloomsburg or whatever, you know, and then they graduate from school and, you know, they're doing their professional life after wrestling. And, you know, next thing you know, they have some kids, they're coaching a wrestling team, they're coaching a middle school team. And it's just like, dude, like the rich get richer here, you know? And now maybe all those jobs are full up and now people are starting to move out. Maybe people are getting sick of the weather here, right? Starting to move down, you know, and it's starting to spread. Also, if you take a look at the environment around here, like what are some of the other states that are really good? What are the two states that I named that leapfrog each other for second and third?
Ohio and Jersey.
And what do they have in common?
They're right next to us.
They border us.
Yep.
Right? So we get like that playoff. And then when we compete against them, since they are also good too, they help make us better.
Exactly.
We make them better and back and forth. But like, yeah, like we're head and shoulders above California.
You guys heard it here. California. Step it up. All right. I wanted to ask you some other questions about wrestling, but we got to talk about UFC. Max, you want to pull up the card this weekend so we can see what we're getting into?
I got Ian Gary.
Oh, I'm taking my man Prates.
That's crazy.
I would say the odds make sense here. They have Gary at a slight favorite. Prates is my dude. I'm gonna be going with my heart here. Mike, you want to break it down why you believe Gary's gonna win?
I thought he did really good against Shavkat, and I couldn't imagine Prates doing that good against Shavkat. With that being said, I'm not too in deep on Prates, other than be throwing down the Marlboro Reds and drinking some whiskey.
So, how do you think Gary wins this fight?
Decision, 5-round decision.
What would you think his strategy is? What is it going to look like?
He's gonna outstrike him on a point basis, a little bit of more controlling the position in the cage and putting him on the cage a little bit here and there.
You don't think he's going to take him down like he did to MVP?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
That's what I imagine. So if you had to say hey, what's the most likely thing that happens? I think it's Gary playing the game on the outside a little bit, getting takedowns. And
I think he's going to win the sport of MMA.
Exactly. And I would say that's probably most likely. But my heart doesn't tell me that. My heart tells me that he plays the game just a little bit, and Prates is better at that game. And Prates is more dangerous at that game. Because,
and he's a fighting nerd. And they only have one loss in the UFC so far?
I don't think they have. I think the four main guys have 0.
Oh, yeah, the 4 main guys.
Yeah.
Oh, did they kick her off since she lost? Is that what they do?
Yeah, they don't really market her whenever they talk about their record. And it makes sense. They have, like I said, the 4 horsemen of the fighting nerds, but they do have Bruna Brazil, who did lose.
Also, Don't they technically consider that Polish dude?
Yeah, Lessei, but since he's been training with them, he's undefeated.
Oh, there you go.
He won his last fight. That was the first time he was with the fighting nerds.
But regardless, the 4 horsemen,
the 4 main dudes, the 4 cool ones, yeah.
Dude, you can do that?
Yeah, you just choose some of your team. Be like, yeah, this is
Dude, sick. I choose Lucas Siebert. We're undefeated.
Yeah, dude.
Nice.
That's how we rock it.
Nice.
But to be serious though, Prates, he has some serious skill on the outside in terms of distance control. And when he hits people, it's like very, very serious. I think he has way more firepower than Gary has. The only difference here is that Gary's really tall. Now, is that going to matter for someone who has good distance control? Probably not. But I don't think Prates has fought anyone in the UFC, at least, who's that tall. You can see up there the reach is still in Prates' favor. So who knows?
Allegedly.
Yeah, dude. I think all of these measurements
All
take
these
with a grain
numbers,
of
I
salt.
can't.
Dude, Gary being 6'3", nah, dude, I don't believe that.
Well, here goes here goes something I got for you guys. I'm 5'11" allegedly. On all my tail of the tapes, 5'11", my Tapology, 5'11". I am not 5'11". I've never been 5'11".
Dude, so I'm not gonna say who, but someone on our team recently said they were 6'2", and I looked at him and I was like, nah, dude, you're not 6'2". He's like, I am. I was like, nah, bro. Dude, hold on. I have to take
let's
this
put
back.
tape measures in our locker.
We should. I have to take this back. Okay, so last year, right? Chef comes in for a seminar. This dude is like an inch shorter than me. I'm like, wow, that's pretty impressive that you're making 55 and you're like almost as tall as me, right? Because I tell people I'm 6'2". I'm a little higher than 6'2", but I'm not 6'3". And over 6 foot, you round down. You know what I'm saying? So I'm 6'2". It's probably closer to like 6'2 and a half-ish, something like that. But anyways, so I see the chef this time and I'm like, and like I try to hold it together for a minute, but like 20 seconds into us talking, I just can't. I'm like, dude, what happened here? He's like, what? I'm like, you're way taller. He's like 6'4". Dude, and I like was asking other people, so I was like, yo, he's taller, right? They're like, yeah, he does seem like he's a little taller. I don't know what happened, dude.
Is he taller than you now?
Dude, I'm pretty sure he is.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. But anyways,
tall days and short days.
Hey, get what you get.
Yep.
Anything else to add to this fight, Max? You got any insight?
I think I'm really excited for the fight itself. Prates is like my favorite of the fighting nerds. Like his style, I like it a lot. I like he's kind of like this new wave Strickland, not in terms of some of the things Strickland says, but he's like, I'm just going to knock people out and go drink whiskey. You know, that's just kind of how I'm going to live my life.
I appreciate that.
I like
appreciate that. But it doesn't mean I think you're going to win this fight.
I think Machado or Machado Gary, whatever. I think that he's like the worst matchup for Prates in the division. I think that he's so good at just like poking and prodding and offsetting rhythm for 25 minutes. I think that that's like something Prates could struggle with, especially that he given that he's smoking cigarettes all the time.
Had
you know,
Shavkat's back. Like, come on, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not picking against Ian Gary in this fight. Are you crazy? You know who I got beating Ian Gary? Shavkat again. Sean Brady. That might be it.
I think Bilal beats him.
Fair. I think Bilal could.
I feel like I should. You know what? I'm not gonna disagree because like Bilal always just like does stuff that I'm like, well, didn't think you could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who else is not a technically 170 yet, but I think also beats him is Islam.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, we listed a pretty elite group of fighters. So Ian Gary, you're killing it.
All right, we got Anthony Smith versus Zhang Mingyang.
All right, dude. I don't, to be honest, don't know much about Zhang Mingyang or however you say his name. So I don't really have very good opinions here. With that said, Anthony Smith has not looked fantastic in his last couple of fights. I'm not particularly excited about this fight.
Yeah, I'm gonna go against Anthony Smith here. Sadly, I'm a big fan of Anthony Smith, vet of like over 50 fights, former CFFC champion, former UFC title challenger. You know,
and let's not forget, could be a champ if he wasn't as tough as he is. So.
Yeah, that's right. Deserves all the respect in the world, but I do, I see that decline. But you know who I thought I saw that decline in?
Volk?
Dominic Reyes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude, at this weight class,
He set out a board with a piece of cheese on it. He disguised it as a left hand, slatted up.
One of these days, people are going to be like, what's that a reference to? Keep it moving. This is exciting to me.
Oh, man. Dude, this is Giga Chikadze versus David Onyema. This is the fight we all been waiting for. Max is so excited.
All right, who do you got in this, Mike?
I got the guy who's ranked.
I
Chikadze. David Onama. Is this his featherweight debut?
don't think so.
No, he started at lightweight, I think, but he's had several featherweight fights.
I wonder
So-
why he weighs 156 pounds.
I'm gonna go Onama.
So weird.
Max, who did Giga fight last? I know he's been out for a while.
I'm pretty sure his last fight was Arnold Allen. Yeah, it was.
That's right. And I
last
remember
fight was
him
Arnold.
not looking great in that fight.
No. And Arnold Allen's very good. But he
Arnold
did
Allen
not-
is very good. I'm surprised to hear you say that. But
You know what? I'm changing my pick. I'm going David Onama.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. All right.
Max hates Arnold Allen.
He does.
I am.
Have you ever watched his fights?
Yeah, I've watched Arnold Allen. I think Arnold Allen should have beat Movsar. I think he. Have you seen not the decision? Have you
Avoyev.
seen? Have you seen the incident with the knees, like the illegal knees?
Dude,
No.
I talked about
He
this one time.
TKO'd him, and they called it as like an illegal knee
Bruh.
and stopped it. It was clean
He-
as shit TKO.
He hit him in like a front headlock type position. And
Pick
so
his hand up.
dude picked his whole body up, boom, crushed him with a knee, dropped him down, bounced him off the floor, up, knee, down, up, down. Like it was the time, it was unbelievable. Like he literally lifted him off the ground each time. Every knee was 100% legal when you watch in slow motion, and then the ref stepped in and made the wrong call. So that's huge.
And they didn't
bummer.
overturn it afterwards?
When did they ever overturn things like that?
Occasionally. There's a kid.
They do every once in a while. I can't think of any though.
I can't remember his name now. Dude, I want to say, oh my gosh. There's a kid, oh my God. What was the one kid we were super impressed with? His dad fought in the UFC. Him and his dad both fought in the UFC.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, what was that kid's name?
Elijah Smith.
That sounds right.
He has a teammate, and I want to say his teammate's name is Dylan King.
Okay.
Not in the UFC or anything, but I was doing some looking at Dylan King, and in Dylan's second, it was either a second or a first pro fight, he armbars this guy in the first round, right? The dude taps but keeps the fight going, okay? The guy ends up winning by rear naked choke, okay? They send the video into the commission overturns it, he gets the win.
Dude, that's
Because the guy did tap
Dude,
to an
okay.
armbar.
That wasn't in the UFC though, was
No,
it?
it wasn't, but
Okay.
The commissions are all the same, though.
it doesn't matter.
It's the same thing.
No,
If a UFC fight happens in Philly, it's the PA commission.
Now, Max, are you familiar with Sakuraba in the UFC and what happened with him?
I'm not.
in the UFC.
You don't know about this?
No.
Oh, as soon as I say it, I bet you're going to remember it. Real quick, pull up Sakuraba so we can know who he fought. But he was fighting someone, right? And John McCarthy was the ref. Sakuraba changes levels for a shot entry, and McCarthy thinks that he gets dropped, stops the fight. And Sakuraba's like, dude, what's going on here?
I don't
I'm
know
fine.
this.
I have seen
And
this, yeah.
John McCarthy's like, oh, made a mistake. Keep fighting. Oh, wait, I might be messing that up, actually. They might have let him fight again as a separate fight later in the... Now I'm forgetting, but it was like something along those lines where the wrong call... Dude, you have to go way back on Sakuraba.
Was that who was he was a white dude. He submitted a guy. They called it he got the tap. They thought something got screwed up and he ended up going back into the back and came out later that night in the UFC and fought him. I can't remember the guy's name. He was a champion and then he went to Japan for a while.
This might be the Sakuraba story, and I might be mixing them or something. I don't know. But like something along those lines happened.
Frank Shamrock?
No. Anytime someone talks
No,
about
not
like
him.
some white guy in the early UFC, I always think of Keith Hackney. I was watching some of the fights back in the day, which dude, we were just talking about this, how we're like, oh, we could go back and like beat those dudes up. I was watching Keith Hackney. I was like, man, he might beat me up.
Who's the
dude.
one Canadian dude with the mullet?
Canadian dude with the mullet?
UFC 1.
The karate guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I've just recently watched
He's
his
from like the
promo.
Niagara Falls area, and on his promo, it's like
Him
we have
breaking
a
boards
saying.
and stuff.
We have a saying up here. He's like, if you're coming on, well, come on.
Dude, the early UFC is like such a cultural experience. But I don't even know how we got here. Max, he pulls back to the card.
Let's just quit.
Mike's had enough MMA. He wants to talk about wrestling again. Yeah. Oh, dude. All right, we got to go with my man Magomedov.
Boo.
All right, so Michelle Pereira against, is that Albus?
A bus. Abbas Magomedov.
Right on. Who's German?
Oh,
Who you got, Mike?
I'm abstaining.
I'm taking Magomedov.
I'm gonna take Magomedov too.
I'm taking Pereira.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, I know.
This podcast does not support Michelle Pereira.
This is Max's last episode.
All right, is there one more on main card, it looks like? Ooh. Oh, wait, two more on the main card? Okay.
No. Oh, Randy Brown. Oh my God.
No, that's second.
Yep.
Oh, man, I don't know. This is hard. I don't know, dude.
Randy Brown. I'm going Randy Brown. Watched him spar at Marquez once. Looked good.
He also, who did he fight last? He lost that decision against?
Let me pull that up real quick.
I remember we talked about that fight. It
Was that Brian Battle?
Yeah, Brian Battle when Brian Battle missed
That's
weight.
right.
And it was still a close fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going Randy Brown. He's good.
I'm taking Randy Brown too.
All right, I don't know who either of these guys are in this last one, so what do you say we just don't talk about it?
No, dude, I'm taking Alice Sakharov.
I'll take him as well.
Me as well. Lisgrove.
That record, that name. Yeah,
At
dude.
minus 725.
Oh, did I even see that? Yeah. That's a good check. Oh, dude, there's a flyweight fight in the prelims. That's cool.
Matt Danger Schnell,
Yeah.
bruh.
I-
Versus Jimmy Flick.
I thought I would. Oh, no, never mind. I'm just thinking, so Chanel in German means fast. And so for some reason I thought his nickname was something to do with that, but nope. All right, we are well out of time, so we got to wrap this up.
All right, we're just going to call it. Yo, hey guys, follow our social medias. They're on the internet. Max, tell people where they can find them on the internet.
Listen to Your Coaches TikTok. Like we said, that's really been blowing up. We got a lot of good clips on there. So that's Listen to Your Coaches on TikTok, and same thing on Instagram and Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it.
Right on. Also, I have an amendment to make to the betting segment. Lucas Jones is not down 4 units. He lost 4 units last week, but was up a certain amount of units. I can't remember now, but we'll have him all squared up the next time we deal with that. I'd like to thank Lucas for doing his own math and taking care of that himself. I appreciate it. All right, that's it for us, guys. We'll catch you next time. Peace.